Hey everyone, and welcome to the People's Health Alliance, for the people, by the people, empowering people over their own health and well-being. My name's Shirley Blanch. I'm a mindfulness coach and meditation teacher, and today I am joined by the wonderful Corrina Morris from Guiding Stars Feng Shui, and she's going to be telling us all about what we can do to improve our homes, to maybe improve our health and invite a bit of wealth into our lives, all those kind of cool things. And for anybody that doesn't know anything about Feng Shui, how changing the way your home flows and the energy of in your home can change your life. So if that sounds good to you, do stay tuned. Corrina, very warm welcome to the PHA.
Thank you so much for having me, Shirley.
So it's lovely to speak to you because I think people might have heard Feng Shui before, not really knowing what it is. I think it always sounds very complicated. And I know that there is a lot to it. I've met people before that have done it, and it always does sound very complicated. But I think, how did you first hear about it? I mean, let's hear about your story and maybe the changes it's made to you and your life.
Sure. So this is not something that I've done, for all my life. My background is basically in beauty and well-being. I was a TV makeup artist for quite a long time, and sort of somewhere along the line, I'd say probably around the time I had my daughter, who's 9, I felt this shift in me. I felt like I needed a bit of a change, and I didn't quite know what it was. And it's taken quite some time to sort of go through various things and find really what I wanted to do. I was also doing a little bit of coaching with women. And during that time, when I was doing this coaching, I met this incredible lady who, again, just like me, had not had this background. She found it by chance by listening to a podcast, and she was really interested and did all the learning about it, became a teacher herself. And I thought, God, she's really relatable. We were similar ages, had similar backgrounds, and I thought, yeah, she's making it sound really simple and easy and accessible. And I was hooked, and I just wanted to learn more from her. And I'd been learning probably from her for the last couple of years. But then when I met her actually in person, last year, she was offering a course to do this very intensive Feng Shui course. And I just thought, yeah, why not? So I joined this course, completely changed my life. And everybody has said to me, you've found your thing, Corrina. You can see the passion in you. So yeah, it's really exciting. So how it can really help you. Was that your question as well? How to
Yeah,
help?
I mean, I'm interested. I'm always interested in hearing people's stories. So
Yeah.
because I just think we learn from the impact that these things have on other people. So what did you notice then when you started practicing Feng Shui? Before we go into what it is, what sort of impact? Because you said it changed your life. Was it just because you'd found your calling, or was it the actual practice of Feng Shui that had changed other aspects of your life? What did you notice?
I think it's a real mixture of everything because I really feel like I found my thing. But also, we were noticing a lot of changes. So there's a lot of energy. Let me just quickly go back as to what actually Feng Shui
I think
is,
that's perfect.
because I think otherwise we're going to complicate things. So there are about 120 different schools of Feng Shui. So when you say it can get really complicated, maybe it can be with other schools of Feng Shui. But the way that I have studied it and the school that I have trained with is known to be the most accurate way of practicing Feng Shui. And so what we do is we take information about the home. I don't have to physically come into the house. It doesn't mean that I'm going to move all your furniture around or tell you to redecorate. So that's a great thing. What we do is we'll look at compass directions. So I will take your address so that I can find that on Google Maps, and I can Google Earth, sorry, so that I can literally see from a bird's eye view, and I can work out by your floor plans exactly where your home is positioned and exactly where north is in your home. And why I need your floor plans is because we divide the house into, or the home into 9 areas. And those 9 areas represent a different part of your life. So it could be your career, it could be your health, your wealth, your love, and so on. And once I can map that home out, and I've found out lots of different details about your home, and that's why it's very bespoke, because not one home is the same, I can then work out exactly what the energy is doing in each of those 9 areas. And what you could find is there might be energy blockages. So it could just be that there's a real stagnancy within that area or even in the whole home. And that could look like tension, lots of arguments. It could be ill health. It could be struggles with your career or wealth, or all those different areas that I was talking about. And it's almost like, as well, we talk about manifestation with this. So if you're, really trying to manifest things and you just feel like things aren't coming to you, it's probably because there are energy blockages there that are kind of stopping you from moving forward with that. And so that's my job, to do a whole analysis of the home. And I work together with you one-to-one to tell you exactly what we need to do to just make that energy flow so that everything is moving, things feel calm, and exciting as well. Because, if you're desiring some change in your life, whether that's a new love or a new career, then with this energy changing, then it's going to really help to push you forwards.
It's really fascinating, isn't it? So what are the sort of roots of Feng Shui then? It's sort of an Eastern more from a sort of Eastern cultural
It's a,
perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Chinese practice that's over 4,000 years old. So, this is nothing new to anybody that lives probably over there. I think that we're just starting now to become a little bit more open to different things, holistic things. And what you might find is that people have gone down all these different other avenues to try and help with certain things in their life. And then they find Feng Shui and go, do you know what? This is like a last resort. I'll do anything. And I've actually I saw somebody yesterday who I worked with one-to-one in their home. And her husband was ever so, I don't think he was skeptical, but I just think he didn't get it. But they were so stressed, and they just said to me, do you know what? We will try anything now. So I did an analysis on their home. What they had been experiencing was they were struggling tremendously with a lot of accidents going on in their home, and quite serious accidents as well.
Wow.
Their little boy, who's really young, was waking every single night without fail, struggling to sleep, crying, and it was always the same time of night. So we were working really just to try and help him. Unbeknown to me, her husband was made redundant and then really struggling to find a new job. And so, with this analysis, it actually showed me those negative energies that were going on in their home. It was showing that there was sort of career areas that were missing within their home, that there was a lot of illness and accidents that were going on. And then what I can see is what we can do and what the energy is going to do once we place the remedies in the home. And so I worked together one-to-one with them, and I went round and visited yesterday, and he was beaming. He was like, let me show you what we've done. And things feel so different. We've got people that come in and out of our home that have actually said, wow, it actually feels different. And so that's another thing about Feng Shui. You might not necessarily notice that things are going wrong for you. You might just have this feeling. So I had another client that said she loves the house that she's in, but every time, so if she's outside in her garden, she feels happy. She's calm and relaxed. But there is something about when she goes inside the home that feels off, and she can't put her finger on what this feeling is. And so that could be another thing as well. It can just be a feeling of being slightly off.
I think it's really interesting. And I know that there'll be people that listen to this who totally buy into it, and because they buy into the whole energy flow and all that kind of stuff. And then there'll be other people who go, well, that sounds like a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
But and it's really interesting because before I did all this, I worked in interior design, and so I kind of understand how important the flow through your home is, regardless of whether you believe in energy or not, or any of that stuff. Just having a well organized environment that you can move around without bumping into things, that's not causing additional stress, that feels good, that feels relaxing, has an impact on your health and well-being anyway. So I think people should be open-minded to kind of accept that even if you don't buy into the energy thing, just open your mind to the fact that if you have a house that feels like it flows and the energy is moving through it, you're going to feel better moving through it, and it has a positive impact on everybody. But I think it is really, really fascinating. And you talked a little bit about some of the things that you do for people. So if I came to you and I'd given you a floor plan and you divided my home up into these 9 areas, what are the kind of things that you would be looking at that you would go, oh, that's a bit of a red flag there, because that shows that there's a bit of an energy block? Is it like clutter? Is it, what sort of things would you be looking for?
So for me, what we do with the type of Feng Shui that I do, so the school of Feng Shui that I've trained with is called Flying Stars, and we work with numbers. So we work with a lot of different number combinations. So just by simply taking sort of dates to do with when the house was built, compass directions, it's really complicated to sort of explain this, but like I say, we work with these numbers, and I will literally have a spreadsheet of about 1,000 different combinations of numbers. And when I can work out those numbers for each area of your home, that's when I can determine what the energy is doing in that area, and then what type of remedy that we need to place within those areas.
So what are the sort of, sorry, carry
Mhm.
on.
No, that's okay. And obviously sometimes on top of that, we will see things like, if your house is completely cluttered, for example, if let's say that you're really struggling with your health, the health is the center of your home. So if you're sort of finding that you've got tons of clutter in the center of your home, or maybe this is where you keep your dustbins, think about the negative energy. It's like a waste, in a dustbin. You wouldn't want that in the center of your home. So we can also work with extra things like that, as well as me working out what all these numbers are as well.
So you've looked at my home, you've divided it into areas, you've done the numbers, you've crunched the numbers. What would be some of the remedies that you would put into practice then, from a practical perspective? If I was going to look at it, how would it look different to me?
So everybody's house, like I say, is going to need something slightly different. So the remedies that I talk about, we work with the earth's elements. So we're talking about metal, water, fire, wood, things like that. And so they will each bring their own different energy. So if we talk about metal, which sounds a bit scary, and you think, oh my gosh, as if I'm going to have metal all in my home. But metal, this can all be hidden, by the way. Nobody would know that your home had ever been feng shuied. It's going to look like a beautiful home. We can hide these remedies so they can get put under a couch, on top of a unit or something, so no one will know it's there. And if we're talking about something like metal, it's extremely grounding. It's also very neutralizing of any negative energy. If you're talking about fire, think about, when they say, oh, yeah, I've got the fire in my belly, it's really getting me going, and also that can cut through any negative energy. So we're going to use different remedies for different areas, and I couldn't tell you literally now what you would need
Yeah.
without me having all of those details about your home. But there's some different things, things such as water. It's a beautiful flow of energy, so that could be like a flow of wealth, or a flow of good health and good fortune and things like that.
But what would that look like though? If I was going to put water, if you said to me, okay, well, you need to have some water here and some flow here, how would
Yeah.
I do that? Would it be a vase of
Oh,
water?
I
Would it be
see.
a, what would it look like?
Sure. Yes. So if you were going to have something like water, it would need to be constantly moving. You don't want, let's say, like you just said, a bowl of water or a vase, because that's still and that's stagnant and that's not representing a flow. So, you can either make them yourself or you can buy beautiful little ornaments that have got little waterfalls to it. So things like that we can introduce into the home. Obviously, when we talk about metal, then sometimes we'll use, the round disc weights because they're nice and flat and they're easy to hide and place into smaller areas. When we're talking about fire, that's the only thing that we obviously don't use real fire because that's impossible. So we will use the colour. So we'll use anything within that colour range of fire. So it's bright reds, burnt oranges, yellows, even some real deep pinks and purples. So yeah, that's how some of them could look.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because colors all have their own vibrations as well, their own energetic qualities. So do you look at the colors that people are using in their rooms, or is that not something that matters so much? So if someone's got a bedroom and it's all painted in fire colors, reds and oranges and yellows and all that kind of stuff, and they needed something the opposite to that in their room, would you recommend redecorating things like that?
So if I'm doing a home analysis with somebody and I'm not doing a one-to-one where I'm physically going into their house, because obviously that would take more hours for me to be with that person physically in their home. But if I'm just doing a simple home analysis, I will literally work out like all the numbers like you say, and I will write all the details down and I will tell them where they need to place things and what they need to do, and we'll have a few voice notes back and forth about that. Once they've placed those remedies, if after say a month or two, because it is going to take time for the energy to really settle down, if they're still finding that maybe they're struggling in a certain area, then I would take a deeper dive into, okay, well, what's going on here? What colors have you got going on? And then you can only advise. I would never tell somebody go and redecorate, go and paint your rooms. But obviously if you were really, really struggling, then you could suggest maybe slightly toning it down a little or adding in extra things to kind of balance it out, if you like. Because the last thing that I would want to do is tell people you have to go and change your whole home, because we want things to be easily accessible to everybody. But obviously, if I'm going into somebody's home, we do the whole thing all in one go. That's what I'm there for, because we're literally there for a good few hours working it out. But for example, there was a lady that I was working with, and she did have a lot of red in her house, and including the center of the home. And their center was also their kitchen. Now, your kitchen brings a lot of fire and energy anyway, because you've got your oven, you've got the hob, so they're already a lot of fire in there. Then they had red walls. So whilst I've given them the remedies to place and I've told them what they can do, I have also said to them, look, see how you go, because like I say, the center of your home represents your health, your mental health, and your self-acceptance. And if you start to struggle with any of those things over the next few months and so on, then maybe you might want to look at maybe toning it down slightly.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I just wondered if you felt like it had an impact.
It
Um,
can.
yeah, yeah. I'm really interested as well because years ago, as when I was sort of transitioning from going from doing interior designy stuff into more holistic stuff, one of the first steps that I took, because I thought it was a kind of a nice branch into it, was looking at earth acupuncture, which is looking at how the earth and the energies of the earth affect the home and the health of people in the home, and looking at the energy flows that flow through the home from the earth. I was wondering, do you do anything around that? Do you actually look at not just the home, but the surrounding area, the garden, anything like that? Is that involved in your Feng Shui work at all?
We do, and I've never heard of earth acupuncture. That's really interesting. But we look at, so that would be part of the whole process at the very beginning. So I would need photos of the home so that I can see the front and the back of the actual house, and then I would ask for photos so that I can see what they see, so their view from the front and the back, and obviously the sides if you have sides. So there's a good few things that we look at. You could have a busy road that's literally coming almost towards your house. That's a whole lot of energy coming towards you. You could have, a lot of people will place their dustbins right outside the front of their home or right opposite. And that's a negative energy because it's a waste. So that's literally coming through your front door. If you've got tons of weeds on the lead up in your pathway to your front door, again, that's like a dead energy. It's not, there's no growth, so that just represents a negative energy. So there are a lot of things that we look at on the outside as well. We also work out what your home's element is. So you can then look at the very front of your house, and we will talk about colour and all sorts of things to do with the element of your home. So that could be that your a wood element, and once you've got all of that sorted out for the front of your home, then that's going to help to bring extra health, wealth and prosperity.
It's so fascinating, isn't it? So it's obviously very personal, very
Mm.
individual. So I think what would be really nice is, I know that, it, for anybody to get the proper experience, they would need to speak to you, they would need to get the numbers done, they would need to do all that. But for people listening who just want to maybe make a change and maybe just want to improve the flow of energy around their house, and just make a small start for themselves, have you got any sort of suggestions of just some really basic things that people can do that they could just have as like a little takeaway of this conversation today?
Oh, absolutely. So the first thing that I will always say is every single day, start by opening your back doors. That's if you've got, the back doors. If you've got back doors and back windows, start by opening those first and releasing any negative energy. And just do that for a few moments, and then you can close it. And then you start by opening your front door, because that's like the mouth of the energy of all your positive energy, and then you literally invite that into your home. So you can literally start just by doing that every single day, and that's where I started doing it.
So you froze a little bit for me at the
Oh,
beginning of that. That's okay. So I just want to recap so that we don't miss anything. So you would start by opening the back door and letting out any kind of stagnant energy, any energy out, and then open the front door to allow new energy in. And that's a
yeah.
kind of renewal for the day, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's almost like us standing outside and getting fresh air first thing in the morning and getting light. It's like doing it for ourselves, but it's doing it for our home, isn't it? So I love
Yeah,
that. That's a great idea.
absolutely. And you will really see that change. You will really feel that. Another thing that you can do, so literally go around your house and close all the lids to your toilet. Make sure that the lids are always closed, because again, this is like a drainage. This is like a waste energy. If you've got the seats and the lids, sorry, I should say the lids open, it's almost representing your wealth going down the drain or your health going down the drain. So once you sort of hear these things, you literally can't ever look at a toilet seat again without putting the lid down. So you can start by doing things like that as well. one really important thing, and I know that this is like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to start, but have a really good declutter. And don't look at your whole house and get into overwhelm. Just literally take one room and pick a day, even put a timer on it if you like. And if even that is overwhelming by thinking of like a whole entire room, then just take a cupboard and start to declutter. Because if you've got lots of clutter, it's holding on to a lot of stagnant energy. So for example, if you're trying to move forward with, let's say, a career, or you want to invite a new love, and you've got old energy stuck there, so you could have, you know, if it was a new love that you wanted to invite in, and you've got old photos, old things that remind you of past relationships, that's a stuck negative, stagnant energy, and it's not going to allow you to move forward. And the same, like if it was your career, you might have loads of, you know, old uniforms, books, manuals, lanyards, all sorts that are kind of keeping you held back into that past job, and it's not allowing you to move forward. So I would just say, have a good declutter.
I think it's so important. That's really great advice. The toilet seat one, I have used that argument with one of my sons, and it really doesn't wash. But I do reinforce it because I just dislike it anyway. But yeah, I think it's really good. And the decluttering one, I think, is really important because, again, I would say, even if you don't buy into the whole energy thing, the reality is for everything that you own, it takes a bit of your energy because you have to tidy it up, look after it, clean it, you know, organize it, whatever. So it's still taking some of your energy and your attention, isn't it? So even if you just look at it from that perspective, it is overwhelming to be surrounded by clutter, and and it's so difficult to focus, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think check where you think maybe the center of your home is, you know, and have a really good declutter of the center of your home, because like I say, that's your health and your mental health. And what you can do if you want to get a bit of a rough idea of where all these areas are, just take your phone and find the compass app and just hold it flat in your hand without any jewelry or any smartwatches, because it can disturb the compass readings, and just literally look and try and find your north and your south and walk as far as you possibly can, and you'll know roughly then maybe where the center of your home is.
So you're literally looking practically for the center, the part of your house that's geographically center in your home, and that is
Ideally, yeah.
wow. That's
Yeah.
so interesting. So even just getting that area, if you focused on that first and you didn't do anything else, that would be the point where you'd go, okay, well, I'm going to, maybe if I'm going to declutter anywhere, that's going to be my starting point.
I would say so, definitely.
I think all of those things have been so fascinating and interesting. And also, what I love about that is it makes it really accessible for people. Because obviously what you do is highly specialized, and you know, like you said, you need to do a lot of training, and it's quite intensive. But if people want to be able to go and do something themselves, just to be able to do that and start with a bit of decluttering, and then if they really want the full experience and they really want the transformation, they can come and find you, which I think is amazing. It's been so lovely chatting to you today, Corrina, and you've
Oh.
shared so much wisdom, which is really brilliant. And I think people are going to take away a lot from that. But if they want to find out more about what you do, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook, under Guiding Stars Feng Shui. And I can give you some more details as well, perhaps to put in the show notes, where people can find me. But also, if you go on to either of those socials, then there's tons and tons of different tips, just little short clips of things that you can do as well.
That's absolutely brilliant. So I think people will be clicking on and having a bit of a declutter and all that kind of stuff. So that's absolutely fantastic. If you do have a go at this and it makes a difference to you, let us know. Contact us at the PHA, because we always love to hear the impact that these things have on you. And I think just for health as well, it's just so important, isn't it? Just to get rid of as much stuff as possible that's sort of weighing us down. Corrina, it's been so lovely chatting to you today. Thank you so much for your time, and it's been brilliant to learn more about Feng Shui.
Thank you so much.
And for everybody listening, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've learned something today. I hope you could go away and try a little bit of Feng Shui and a bit of decluttering. And I look forward to catching up with you at the PHA soon. In the meantime, do take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.